good evening. I hope you're all enjoying your day. Welcome back to season two of Pass the Mic. We're more than happy to be here, share our current experiences and what we're going through. But before we get started, let's just introduce ourselves for a quick moment. So, hello everyone. My name is Jose Bermejo. I'm currently a first generation low income Mexican American hailing from Anaheim, California. So go Angels. I know there's a lot of LA classmates here, but I don't care. I'll rep Anaheim anytime, any day.
Thank you, Jose. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. So my name is Alexis Linares Sierra. My pronouns are he, him, his. So I identify as a first generation student of color from a low income community in Southeast Los Angeles. So a child of immigrants from El Salvador. I also identify as part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and also a second year grad student at USC. And I'll go ahead and pass it to Diana.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Diana. And today we're gonna be sort of like speaking on some important topics that I think is important in higher ed. Um, and I'm gonna keep it very brief. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass it on to Moises.
Hello, everyone. My name is Moises Gonzalez. Thank you, Diana. My pronouns are he, him, él. I am also a first gen low income Mexican American, just like Jose, but our difference is go Dodgers because I'm from West Los Angeles, born and raised. But it's okay. I still love Jose.
And I still love you too, Moises, even though there's a better team and obviously it's fun.
Okay, thank you all. So hi everyone. My name is Keily Molina. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I identify myself as a first gen, like the rest of my peers, as well as like a low income, I come from immigrant parents, Mexican American as well. And I'm also in the second year educational counseling program.
Well, thank you all for sharing a little bit about yourselves. And with that, we'll just get right into it. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about speaking up and talking back, and what that means to showing our authenticity in higher ed as a new professional. And this could be something for our first year cohorts to look at. So Alex, if you're listening to this could be just for you. And just really seeing how we can lead with authenticity, compassion, and love. And what better way than being authentic than just being honest about how we're going about with this podcast? It's like 8 o'clock and 8 p.m. I think, and we kind of decided to do this after just doing some mock interviews. So it was a really fun experience. We got to connect with one another, and yeah, it was fun. I got to enjoy it. I'm not sure if anyone wants to touch upon that or if we can just go right into the topic. Okay, so I guess we'll go right into what it means to be authentic within leadership, and this could be as you eventually graduate from USC in our EC or Educational Counseling program. We really just want to talk about how you can be successful leaders in higher ed while also navigating a lot of these political aspects or agendas that are going about. Just really being able to be your true self in a workplace that's able to not only support you but also empower you. So maybe we could talk about what does it mean to be authentic. Now, usually when I think about what it means to be authentic, my first thought goes to like Alexis and like how he goes about his everyday life. So maybe Alexis, you want to touch a bit about what it means to be authentic?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Jose. I think my definition of being not just authenticity as a whole, I think to sum it up, it's more about being able to truly be yourself, personally. And what I mean by that is, we all come from different personalities, different backgrounds and such forth. But I think being able to showcase, I guess your true colors and who you are as an individual, especially like in the workplace. So for example, I'm very much more of like an extrovert. I am very blunt, I'm very I guess loud, I'd like to talk a lot, and which are just some examples. And I think being able to do so in a space especially as a workspace where I don't feel judged, where I feel that it is embraced, it is welcomed and celebrated. I think that's really important to have in general, because you don't want to be in a space or in a work environment where you have to, close your identities, you have to like not be yourself. I think I been through that growing up, especially being part of the LGBT community. And so, having that, different experiences, for example, where I've been working at, and being able to show like who I am as an individual has been able to translate, especially with the work that I do. Like I love my job. I actually don't hate it, which is crazy to say for the first time. Because I love what I do. And I think a lot of that has to do with the authenticity, with the space and the celebration of just being myself. And so that's just a little bit about me. I don't know if anyone wants to go next.
Yeah, I can go, Alexis. So I think I piggyback a little bit in like everything. I agree a lot with what you're saying. I think authenticity to me really, really speaks to me. And now that I'm like coming in and like walking into like this environment where I'm gonna be working with students, um, I so I see myself a lot like when I was a student, and now as like being in the other side of higher ed, I see how like the difference, that like how much different it is, like when you serve students in the sense of like how you want to lead students. And so when I was a student, I think there was a lot of things that I didn't feel comfortable in sharing, only because I felt um like I was gonna be like judged for like, sharing things about me, like just me being real. And I feel that now that I'm coming into this field, I feel like it's important to be authentic and to become that representation to that student, because there's a lot of students out there that are actually looking for people like us, people who want to show authenticity. Um, and I think one great example that I can give is talking with our professor, actually, Dr. Flores. I think he is very authentic, very transparent about everything he does and how he teaches. And I do think that a lot of us really identify with him and sort of bond with him because of that. And I feel like that's kind of like, in a sense, that's kind of like how I also want to lead. But also like, being okay with like showing authenticity with like vulnerability. That also shows a lot of who you are. And I think a lot of students, or a lot of just people in society in general, I feel like we kind of lose that sense of like what that means for us. And so we have to like normalize that it's okay, normalize the emotion of vulnerability, and normalizing within like just higher ed, within society, within our culture, because I feel like people just tend to kind of go on their day by day basis and sort of ignore these things that don't think are important, but they do matter.
You're right. Thanks for sharing, Diana. I like the point that you brought up with Dr. Flores. I agree. I think he is like um, one of the more authentic professors that we have. And that's not to say that any other professors aren't authentic, but it's really interesting to see. And I don't know if he's young and like he's open, that like we feel that he's authentic because I guess we can kind of relate to him a lot. So like for us, that looks like authenticity. But it is incredibly refreshing to have a professor like that, because it kind of shows us that like, you can be a professional, kick ass at your job while still, being yourself. Um, and so it's really interesting to like hear him share about like sometimes like his life and stuff, and like give us like some real responses and some real answers that frankly we need, because we've been in this program for 2 years, and we haven't gotten like honest answers about, like, for a lot of us who want to become community college counselors, honest answers to, questions that we may have and things that we have concerns about. So I think it's really interesting to see someone like him, still maintain being a professional while being authentic to themselves. And I know that it's authentic. People have different levels of authenticity. Will I be as authentic as and as outgoing as Dr. Flores? Maybe, maybe not. But like I said, it's great. I think it's a good mix to have within the cohort of professors. And like you said, I also really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think you both bring up good points, especially when it comes to like the faculty that are teaching us. Like Dr. Flores, no doubt, it always lights me up whenever I see the emails and it says like it's not like hello students, it's literally straight up just like colleagues. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like, oh cool. Like, I didn't think that you see us like that. So yeah, like eventually a couple of us are gonna be working not under him, but with him, being able to
Yeah.
share ideas, be able to share all these cool things, and like I appreciate him. And maybe that's something that like we all aspire to be, especially with the new age of people that were once young and now like they're starting to get older with wisdom. Like that's not me calling out Dr. Flores' age, but as we're getting older, it's like the new generations, millennials, Gen Zs are starting to take over these certain positions. But now, instead of having a fixed mindset, we're really more open and trying to see how we can help out one another without necessarily having that position tower over other people. It's really being, like we mentioned, authentic. And maybe that's something that we've seen in our current job sites. Like, have any of you guys seen anything like where you're currently working at, or maybe even like ongoing work rumors that you hear, like positive, negative amongst other colleges or campuses, how their culture goes about?
Yes, so I can speak on that. So in terms of like job sites, I currently work at the USC Career Center. And one of the things that they do there is they do weekly check-ins with interns. I have my supervisor, her name is Stephanie. I feel like she's a definition of authenticity, just because not only we use that like professional like work in terms of like checking in, but also like I love how she's really authentic and like how she's really honest in terms of like not only having conversation about work, but having conversation about something else too, like whether it's like school, personal life. And I really love how having conversations like that with like supervisors is very important, because like you don't feel like you need to be like professional, like professionally like talk to them in a way that, I feel like sometimes most of us feel intimidated talking professionally with like our supervisors. So I think with me, like I always come in like feeling like I could talk to her about anything. So this can be like, usually I talk to her about like school, work, personal life, or even like professional development. So I think that's one thing that I really love about my job, just because like that's something that I didn't have previously. So I do really appreciate that like supervisors like her and other people within the Career Center do help with students and interns feel like very welcoming, but also be true to themselves. And like how like she would always mention like, it's okay to make mistakes, we're all humans, we're not perfect. And so that's something that I feel like I'm very comfortable in sharing with her when it comes to like personal, professional life or academic.
Yeah,
Thank you for. Go ahead, Diana.
yeah, no, I was gonna add into what Kaylee was saying too. I think for me too, like in my past jobs, like non-higher ed jobs, I feel like I developed some kind of like PTSD or like some kind of trauma, like because some I think some people that are like in higher ups, like they really become leaders, but they really don't know how to lead. They don't know how to support. And I think to me that's very important to be able to recognize that one, that are you doing the right things for the right reasons, you know? And so I guess in higher ed, that's one thing that I feel like, well, obviously these experiences really like kind of helped me, like yes, it helped me like recognize like, oh my God, like this is an issue, but also it helped me like kind of like see myself like as a leader and the type of leader that I want to be. And like I don't want to be that person. And I've seen it in higher ed, obviously also, not personally with me, but like I've seen it like around me, where maybe, you know, there's certain individuals who are not getting that support, or from their leaders. And I think it's very important that, at least for me, when if I ever become or am in a position where others are leaning on me and I'm supposed to lead them, I want to make sure that I do lead, um you know, in the best, to the best of my ability. I want to be very genuine. I want to lead with kindness, because I want to treat people the way I want to be treated. And obviously I want to feel supported. And so I understand that how important that is as a leader, to support their team. And honestly, at the end of the day, I think when you have that, it just makes your work environment and dynamic just kind of flow a lot more smoothly than if you don't have that person or that support where you can rely on.
Mhm. That's a great point, Diana, that you bring up about, like, not all leaders, in your opinion, knowing how to lead correctly. And it's almost like teaching sometimes, no, maybe not in our sense. Some of us might go on to lead, some community college courses. Is there a course that is in our program about leading a college class? The answer is no.
There's not.
There's not, which is kind of ironic, with like, and this happens with not just like ourselves, but this also happens within like the K through 12 space and stuff like that. Some people get their credentials, but they don't know how to teach, which is really interesting and is an incredibly interesting part about education, like you said. And so just like how not everybody who teaches has taken a course on how to teach or has gotten some formal training on doing that, they're
Yeah.
not all leaders have gotten
Mhm.
formal training on how to be a leader. Some people have, maybe some people have masters, like let's say like ourselves, where we've gotten some training, but like not that much. Whereas like, and someone with a degree like ourselves moves into a leadership position in comparison to someone who has a doctoral degree in higher educational leadership, and they will have proper training. But like you said, it is really interesting to look at how leaders lead, especially in the case that not everybody knows what style works with everyone, and not everybody might have
Yeah.
the best direction in executing it.
Mm-hmm.
Sharing that.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's a good point that you bring up too. But like it also makes me think, sometimes do you feel like when people say that, they use that as a way to like flex on it too? And it's almost to, it kind of downplays your own experiences where they're just like, okay, we might not have gotten like experience in that, but there's some people that also went through that and they're like, well, no one taught me how to do an ed plan. No one taught me how to do it, but I was still able to figure it out. Which I
Mhm.
think like, all right, cool. That's great. More power to you. But if you're gonna keep that mindset and then you're just gonna talk down on someone who might have come from a different program or different learning experiences, and you're like, oh, well, we had a whole course dedicated towards it.
Mhm.
It's kind of weird, right? Like they kind of judge you because, oh, you took a class that requires more time to invest into an area that obviously we're gonna need to learn more about. And I think that's something I don't like seeing in campuses or college culture, or certain people that just because you attended a certain institution or you have a certain amount of experiences, that entitles you to almost like be rude or just be like constantly critiquing someone, especially if you're like a new adjunct counselor. And I don't know, I think it varies with like campus culture as well. I know I at least for me working like how long has it been? Maybe 3, 4 years in community college setting. Like first off Fullerton College and El Camino. I can say it's different in terms of leadership, but it's also different in terms of like level of comfortability and like sense of belonging. Like I agree with Kaylee when it comes to like really reaching out with students and maybe even peer mentors. At Fullerton, I enjoyed it. Like I always love bringing that place up because it's the place that brought me up. You know, I learned everything that I needed to when it comes to course registration, advising, shadowing counselors, and most importantly, just being able to be myself and help out students on a daily basis. It was challenging, but it was also exciting. And now that I'm here at El Camino, it's almost as though all that power of like being able to share what I can is now divided up amongst like a whole department in different roles where you have to like particularly navigate through each role without stepping on people's toes. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm not happy there as much. Like the management's horrible and it shows. Like maybe you guys have experienced something like that in certain colleges, but in there it's like it's only like what I say goes and it trickles down to lower management and then it affects us in total. But I don't know. I think with that in mind, I still wanna do more and do like show out. I'm not sure if that's just like a first generation thing of just constantly feeling grateful for everything that we do. So we're gonna take on additional roles, additional responsibilities, and not have our pay reflect that. But I do it really just for the interest of the students and the benefits. Like, and I love doing that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
and
just what
I 100% can agree with you, with everything that you're saying. And of course, I think just piggybacking on some of the main highlights that you were talking about, especially when it comes to like the work environment and being able, you know, on one side, for example, you mentioned Fullerton, you're able to be your authentic self, really grow and learn throughout the process. Whereas right now in El Camino, it's the complete opposite. And I think what you know, coming into this, especially when it comes to authenticity, especially as a new professional in the workplace too, I think it's really important in how we refrain our mindsets. So I think especially for me, as you were talking, just really reflecting on my experiences. So, and you know, you're right, first generation things, we want to get the most experience. We want to do what we got to do to like put ourselves out there, put ourselves set our put our foot in the door into these new opportunities. But I think as well, you know, when it comes to, for example, my experiences, like for example, like for me, I've had all good experiences, but I'm privileged to say that because not everyone has that, and I have to, and I acknowledge and recognize that. But I think as well at the same time too, when it comes to these positive experiences too, you know, of course, I've been lucky to be authentic, grow. I've been able to learn new things that I thought I could never do and such forth. But at the same time, you know, kind of get to a certain point where I'm just kind of like, okay, like what else is there? What's more to do and such forth, and being able to grow from there and seek out, you know, be comfortable with the uncomfortable and learning how to adapt with change as well, because I think that's how one can continue to grow overall within, you know, personal, you know, with your own personal philosophy, but more importantly, the educational philosophy around it as you become a counselor, as you become an educator within the field of higher education. And I think just understanding too, you know, like throughout, you know, your work experiences, you know, our grad program, just understanding what, you know, what our strengths is, what we're capable of, and what we can handle. I think we can all safely agree that we have different levels of comfortability and what we can handle or not, and that's okay because it benefits us and it will benefit us uniquely in the long run. So I think, for example, you know, going back again, um, with my positive experiences, you know, really want to change. And I know I talked about this a little consistently throughout the semester, in which, you know, making that change and then all of a sudden the work environment is like complete like hell. And I'm just like, what is this? And so really, you know, taking a step back, really thinking about, is this even worth it? And of course, I think about it. I'm like, oh, I should take every opportunity. Maybe I should do XYZ just to, you know, for the resume or just to talk about it and look good. But at the same time, we also have to think about it. We are humans at the end of the day. We are
Mhm.
humans before we are employees, before we are students. That is the one thing that I've learned through my experiences as, you know, at the community colleges and even at the 4 year. I'm like, you know, we work-life balance and you taking care of yourself no matter
Yeah.
what. And so it's really stepping your foot down. Like, for example, with this bad experience that I've had at a certain community college here, um, talking, looking down on me, talking bad on me, and I hadn't even started. And one thing about me, like I mentioned, I'm blunt. I don't care what people think about me. Although that's very risky for me, especially in the field higher ed, but it's important to be that risk taker. I'm not afraid to talk through, because I think it's important to, stand up, not just for myself, but for other individuals who do not feel like they have the voice to do so, and being that change maker. And so really stepping my foot down, be like, I'm not gonna deal with this. I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna disengage here. I'm gonna leave, and I'll find somewhere else. I would rather be um, you know, broke and looking for a job than having money and being miserable. Like, why would I want to do that to myself? At the end of the day, that's gonna lead me to burnout. That's gonna lead me to be miserable with my job, and potentially with the career that I'm going into. Like, and I'm really glad that I went to that route, because honestly, although it took me months to find my current second job that I had now, but I can safely say I am so happy. I can continue to be myself. I can continue to share my wisdom and my perspective to students and the faculty there, and I'm able to even grow too at a new department. Whereas I know if I would have stayed at the old job where I was, it was like not a good environment, I knew I would have been fighting. I knew I would have gotten myself into trouble, only because I would probably be fighting for myself and fighting for others. So really taking into consideration too, at the end of the day, like, what is worth doing in the long run. And I think that's gonna come into play as we become new professionals. Yes, we're gonna want to do adjuncts. We want to go into the first job that we want to go into. Yes, I acknowledge that, and I think that's important to do so in order to gain that experience, whether it be good or bad. But at the same time, we also have to be strategic and intentional, and how we want to go about it. Do we want to do we just want to do what we got to do and then move on with our lives, or do we want to make an impact? Really
Yeah.
want to continue to grow in different areas of our career and our personal life, so that 20-30 years from now, that we are still driven and we still want to be in this field. That is what's going to make the factor, and that all ultimately leads into authenticity and the spaces that we're in right now.
Authenticity and love.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I mean, listening at what you had to say right now, Alexis, I think I don't think you even realize, but you show a form of passion for what you want to do and what you want to continue to do in higher ed. And that speaks a lot. That speaks a lot about you. I do have to say, like, I think, yeah, the first gen thing, going back to like what Jose also mentioned, like, I think sometimes, we want to do all things, and like we say yes to a lot of things because we don't want to miss out on opportunities. But I feel like at the end of the day, this is just us being first gen too. Like, we're first gen in everything, and also like mainly our culture too. Like, I think we're taught like to always take any opportunity that we can, and I think we forget that we also have to put ourselves first, because if we want to go ahead and lead and we want to be authentic, like, how are we going to do that if we're not giving ourselves that space to you know focus and prioritize ourselves? So that's also another thing that I feel like when we want to lead, we want to make sure that we take in consideration our own well-being as well.
think these are like all valid points. I know there's something that I forgot who, there was like an old mentor brought up to me too, about like trying to commit as much as you can in your job site, grad assistantship, internship, wherever you currently are, that you're trying to provide meaningful work. If if the if that culture or that department isn't going to support you and your ideas, and like really what that means is if they're not open to these ideas that you're willing to share, and giving you an outlet and overall support, you gotta go somewhere else, because by the end of it, they're gonna end up forgetting you. Like your job is there. There's a reason why it was empty to begin with, and sometimes it's just because that role just needs to be filled in, and you just happen to apply, and now you're currently there. So either that's like repeats or you acknowledge it, try to change something, and if you can, that's perfect. If not, it's currently just because of the people that are running it, and you need to make that decision for yourself whether or not you continue doing what you do there, or if you need to find your other experiences where you can really grow or really blossom into someone that you want to be yourself. And like, that's like the opposite. Do I want it because it looks good on my resume, or do I want it because I know I can do something, or I see myself doing something out of it? Because even if it's not on your resume, doesn't mean you can't talk about it later on down the line, or doesn't mean like you can't bring it up the next time you're interviewing for that part-time counseling position, full-time, or even hopefully team president, you know?
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that you feel like we should all be talking about? Maybe some final words of inspiration, or just any recommendations on what we wish for our upcoming first years? Anyone listening to this podcast, or just for the future students or future world leaders?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can
Go
go
for it,
first,
Alexis.
Moises.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start us off. Just enjoy the ride. We have 1 semester left. So if you guys are listening to this, you still have like a year and some change, most likely. So I hope you guys do listen to this, and um really just enjoy your time here, because it does go by very, very quickly. And then like how some of them were speaking up, how some of you guys were speaking up earlier about this pressure to do as much as you can. Yeah, there's tons of pressure, especially um seeing your peers do all these things, and people going to conferences like during the semester and stuff, and it's a lot, it's a lot of work, and I'm sure my peers can tell you that it is a lot, and it is very draining to do, a lot all at once. And it looks like, and sometimes you may get the feeling of, oh, I'm not doing enough, because you see things left and right, but you are one individual, and you need to keep yourself first at the end of the day. And so, of course, go out, do those things, try to do as much as you can, but still put yourself first, because if you're not 100% yourself, then you may not be devoting the correct time to those things that you're attending. So
Yeah.
enjoy it, and take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to go ahead, Diana? I'll go after you.
Yeah, sure. So I was just gonna say, I was gonna talk a little bit more about like our program, and our professors. So I just kind of wanted to shout out, just some of the professors in our program. So I think we kind of already did with one of them, Dr. Julio Flores, for, leading with authenticity, and being so awesome. And the other person that I also want to kind of shout out, like, I think this individual also like really like plays a huge role in our program. And I do believe that, she leads with kindness and love. And I think that's and I think you can all agree, but Dr. B is also another person that I also like wanted to shout out, because I think she's also like a perfect example of what, you know, how we get this support right now as grad students, which is also important for us right now as we finish our program. So just wanted to, shout it them out, and thank them for, being the leaders that they are.
Yeah, things I agree with you. That's definitely Dr. B. She's like the mother for all of us. Thank you for that. I agree. Um, I think for me specifically, I was just so similar to what I said, but let me be different. I think just I think for the first years and maybe prospective students coming into this role of like potentially in our EC program or in another program, um, look, one thing that we're always told is take advantage of every opportunity, be open, which is true. I 100% agree with that. If you see I always tell students when I meet with them, when you see an opportunity and you feel like that could be beneficial for you in the long run, go for it, do it. But at the same time, also too, start thinking about, what are your short and long-term goals? What do you want to achieve? Is there something specific that you would like to do throughout your career? And so just being intentional as well and strategic, and to a certain extent, be like, oh, maybe I really want to work in like the field of career. And I want to work at the career center maybe one day. Maybe, be intentional looking out for institutions, throughout the whole academic school year to see if there's a position like that coming up, and so forth. I think it's important too, if you have an idea on where you want to go about, especially being like a counselor, faculty, professor, especially administrator as well. Think about what will lead you to that path, and really embracing it through like compassion, joy, and love. Um, and so and just really leaning into that authenticity piece, and not losing sight of yourself at the end of the day, because it's really easy to lose yourself, not only within the program, but I feel like also in the field too. Like I really want to make sure, like for myself and for everyone here, and for everyone here in the Zoom, and also people watching, oh, everyone, I guess at this point, just to remember where you started, remember where you're
Mhm.
remember the people that supported you and are supporting you now to get to where you're at the end of the day. I think, because for me, I feel like the only reason, one of the main reasons actually, is I'm here even talking today is because of my cohort. It is because of my supervisors at my current jobs, my supervisors and my best friends from undergrad, from community college. I'll probably throw it out there, from even from my childhood. If it wasn't for, having those people and certain aspects in my life, I would have not been in the position that I'm in today, because really helping me self-reflect and analyze my growth in different areas of life. And I hope that you can all do the same with yourselves, because it'll go a long way. And people will see this. Higher ed is a small world. So make sure, really to showcase yourself with authenticity, and never be ill-intended, because we will see out there. And that's just the truth. It's like, ooh, like a little jump scare, scary, but nah, like it's real. I just want to leave it at that.
Thank you, Alexis, and thank you everyone for sharing. Again, for the listeners, I hope you're enjoying everything that we have to share, all these opinions, all these insightful pieces of information. Maybe just to wrap it up, something that I always go by or abide by, it's just wherever you're at, wherever you choose to pursue or follow in your work or dream aspirations, just make sure to work with intention and determination. No matter how often that landscape changes, just learn to adapt, but also learn to recognize when it's okay to take a step back. With that, we appreciate your time for listening. We hope you get to wherever you hope to set in life, and may you enjoy the rest of your evening, morning, or afternoon. And have a great day. This has been Off the Mic. A couple of second years are hopefully going to make a big impact in the world and be the world leaders of change we often seek to see.
Also, a little PS here. We also want to shout out Dr. H, Dr. Hernandez. You're a real one. We love her. We just want to thank you for also being a leader of change, especially a leader of love, compassion, and joy. Because of Dr. Hernandez, we would not be here with doing this podcast. We wouldn't be here in the position that we're in today. So, Dr. H, of course, we want to end it with you. We love you and thank you.